Welcome back, everybody! It's Alex back with another video about mythical creatures. Before we get too comfortable, let's get out the fire, shall we? Voila! Alright, there we go, and now sit back, relax, and enjoy the fire. Today I'm going to be talking about the basilisk. The basilisk is a symbol of evil and death. The stories of the basilisk come from Europe and North Africa. It was said that the snake had hatched from an egg of a rooster that was incubated from a toad, and that would become a basilisk. The basilisk was said to be able to wither landscapes just by its breath and kill with a glance. Most of the stories and description of the basilisk come from the medieval times. The earliest mention of the basilisk was mentioned by Pliny the Elder, hundreds of years before that, in his book called Pioneering Natural History. He described the creature only to be 12 fingers in length. It was small but deadly and could kill shrubs not just by touching it, but by breathing on it as well. Romans believed that the Sahara Desert was once a fertile and luscious land until the infestation of the basilisks. Another poet not too long after Pliny mentioned the basilisk. He said that the serpent was so venomous that even birds that flew above the creature would fall from the sky dead. And even if a man on horseback stabbed the creature with a spear, both him and his horse would fall over dead from the venom. All feared the basilisk, except for the weasel, who ate rue, making the animal impervious to the basilisk's venom. It would even chase the serpent and kill it in its lair. It was suspected that the cobra was the origin of the basilisk because the cobra has the ability to kill from a distance, not because it can kill you with its stare, but because it actually has the ability to spit their venom. The spitting cobra is also from Africa, which is said to be where the basilisk was also from. The cobra was also often killed by the mongoose, which is also said to be the only predator of the basilisk, so mongooses and weasels. In later stories of the basilisk around the medieval era, the story went that if an aged cock or rooster that has lost its fertility would sometimes lay small abnormal eggs, and if this egg was laid in a dunghill and hatched by a toad, the misshapen creature would emerge from the egg. One with the upper part of a rooster, bat-like wings, and the tail of a serpent. I actually found some really fun stories about the basilisk. I'm going to keep messing up that word because it just does not roll off my tongue very, very nicely, apparently. In the 9th century, the basilisk concealed itself under an arch at the Temple of Lucia in Rome and caused a horrible plague. The Pope then slew the creature with its prayers, and it cured everything, I guess. In Vienna, there was a mysterious outbreak of fainting fits. These fits were also caused by a basilisk that hid itself in a well. The hunters that went to kill the animal, they were lucky enough to find it already dead. So thankfully they didn't actually have to kill it. After they killed the basilisk, they actually erected a statue of the creature in Vienna. And there's actually I found a bunch of different basilisk statues and stuff in Vienna, and I'll kind of show those up here. Then there was also another story that took place in the city of Ziriksea, Two aged roosters incubated their eggs. The city, in fear that a basilisk would emerge from the eggs, they squashed the eggs and strangled the two roosters. And roosters are not supposed to lay eggs in general, so I think that kind of is where, like, the stories of a crazed creature coming from the eggs of a rooster, because it's not natural for a rooster to produce eggs. A similar story, actually, in Switzerland, I found, where there was a rooster apparently laying eggs. The bird was tried and convicted of unnatural acts and was burned alive in front of several thousands of people. I don't know about you, but this is an interesting story, because just, like, to me, it just seems so silly that they would actually try and convict a rooster for having eggs. And then after he's convicted, he's burned alive. I'm sorry, but I think that's just hilarious. But after the rooster was dead, the executioner cut open the dead rooster and supposedly found 3 more eggs within it. Lastly, I found another story. This one is a bit longer and wild, but it's fun. So a little girl and her friend had mysteriously gone missing. The mother and the maid went out to look for the 2 girls. When the maid saw the 2 girls' bodies lying limp on the floor inside the cellar, she called and called for the girls, but the girls wouldn't move and didn't respond. The mother, too, was calling for her girls, but she was too frightened to go down into the cellar and had the maid go down and check on them. The maid went downstairs, and as she walked over to the girls, the mother noticed the maid stop and fall lifeless on the floor. Panicked, the mother went to go get help. Word very quickly spread of the instance, and people said that the air felt unusually thick around the area and had suspected that there was a basilisk hiding in the cellar. Because of this instance, there was a big meeting that was called on what to do with the situation. They called the chief physician, who was also known at the time to have a lot of knowledge of various arcane subjects. He had instructed a few to fish out the bodies with long poles and iron hooks on the end. Once they finished getting them out, the physician examined the bodies and determined that it was indeed a basilisk attack. There was an order immediately to retrieve the snake with a rake to bring it into the sunlight, but no one wanted to volunteer, and I don't blame them. None of the soldiers wished to do it. No brave soul came forward, nobody, until they found a convict who, after long hours of persuasion, agreed to do the task, if only that he received a pardon from his crimes. The man was to be sentenced to death for robbery, but after he agreed to do the task, he would receive a full pardon. The convict was dressed heavily in black leather and mirrors, so it had like a bunch of like little mirrors like attached to the leather. There were thousands of people cheering for him as he descended down into the cellar, rake in hand. Once he got into the cellar, he found the basilisk hiding in a niche in the wall. He grabbed the basilisk with a rake and carried the snake out into the blazing sun. The physician had informed them that the basilisk's poison would be hindered by the rays of the sun, but even still, upon seeing the basilisk, thousands of people ran away in fear. And again, I don't blame them, especially with the stories. The physician was the only one brave enough to go near the snake. He confirmed that it was indeed a basilisk, and that was pretty much it. There wasn't really any answer as to what happened to the snake afterwards. But yeah, so yeah, those are some of the fun stories that I found with basilisks. I'd like to hear what you guys thought, so don't be afraid to comment down below. Thank you all for joining me, and as always, be good, and if you can't be good, be safe, and if you can't be safe, be awesome. Okay, bye.